Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishnah is Erevin, Parak Ches, Chapter 8, Mishnah Vav, Mishnah 6. Okay, so let's start with a picture. Okay. Now, this picture is meant to depict you have two courtyards, and you see the wall that goes in between that divides them, and under that wall is a cistern. Cistern means a place where you keep water. So the cistern really is shared by both chatzeros, both courtyards, and the courtyard is divided by a wall that goes over the cistern. Now that wall divides the courtyards. That's not a question. And we're talking about where each one of them made their own Erev. They didn't make any kind of Erev together, if that would have been possible. So the question now becomes the water in the cistern. Okay, if we didn't make an area between each other, and I try to take out water, so the Chachamim, even though there is a wall on top that divides the courtyards, at least as we begin the Mishnah, the opinions are going to be that wall that divides the courtyards does not act as a wall that divides the cistern, and therefore, if I'm taking water out of the cistern, even if I'm taking it out of what's right near me, it's considered like I'm taking it out of the whole cistern, which means it's like I'm taking it out of the other chutzner also, the other courtyard also, which nobody made an Erev with. They didn't make an Erev with each other. So what do you do in this situation? So let's read the Mishnah. Bar shebein shtei chatzeros, a cistern that is between two courtyards. A malaben b'Shabbos, you cannot fill up from it on Shabbos. You can't take water out of it on Shabbos. Unless you made another wall. I mean, there's already the wall going over the cistern. Now you got to make another wall. You got to make another wall that was a wall made for dividing the water. Okay, the wall on top was meant to divide the courtyards. It wasn't made to divide the water. That, right now, according to the Mishnah, that wall that divides the courtyards does not suffice to divide the water. And therefore, we say, if you want to be able to take water out of it, you have to make you got to make another wall, a special wall that's at least 10 tefachim high. Bein milamala, whether it's the wall is above, bein milamata, whether the water is below, or whether it's within the rim of the cistern. Now, take a look at these pictures. Okay. In picture diagram A, you can see that most of the wall is above the water. There's an added wall, right? You added a wall. It's another wall. It's besides, you don't see the wall above anymore, maybe. But this is an added wall inside the cistern. And in this case, the majority of the wall is above the water, while some of it is below the water. Okay? So according to this opinion, that works. Okay, where you have
the water can flow.
Yeah, good point. This works to go ahead and to divide. Then you have the other case, right? You have the other case where most of the wall is below the water, a little bit is above. Okay.
It doesn't.
Most of the wall is below, and a little bit of it is above.
Yeah.
That's what the picture is meant to show.
Oh, okay.
That's called whether the wall is above the water or whether the wall is below the water. That's going to work. Now, as Barry pointed out, the water on the bottom isn't divided, right? So there's still no division below. But this is enough. This is enough to be able to draw the water on Shabbos. This kind of wall that appears to divide the water, let's call it, that's enough to go ahead and say, now I can take from my side, you can take from your side. Now, in each case, we have at least some of the wall below or at least a little bit above. So a little bit below is so that so people should be able to kind of see below the water, like my part, your part.
Yeah.
If you go ahead and have a little bit as the same thing, let's say you have the wall is below the water mostly, a little above. Well, that helps you if you're standing to the cistern to see that there's a wall there. But the point then the point of the Mishnah, they don't have a picture of this. Then the point of the Mishnah is, let's say the wall's not even touching the water. right? Imagine in these pictures, you added this wall. It's not going into the water at all. It's just like connected to the wall, but it's within the rim. Meaning, so just take this picture, right? Imagine over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here, the wall is going a little bit it's going somewhat into the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the wall was above the water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was added. It's not the wall that goes above the cistern, but you have this wall that's above the water, but within the rim, meaning it's still inside of the cistern. That also works according to this Tana, even though it doesn't even touch the water. And the reason that it works is because, again, this is a leniency that the Chachamim gave, that being that people need water on Shabbos. So they made the following leniency, that even though the wall is called, it would be considered a suspended wall, right? Because it's not dividing in any way into what you want to divide. But it's a suspended wall. It's above the area that you really want to divide. Nonetheless, the Chachamim applied a leniency that we use that typically wouldn't have been used here, as we will see soon, called good achas mechitza. That means that there are situations where we say that if you got a wall and the wall is not going all the way to the bottom, we look at it as if the wall extends downwards. It's a concept. Good achas mechitza. We look at the wall like it goes down. Sometimes look at a wall as if it goes up. But the point is that we're going to really, as we'll see later on, when you have a suspended wall, it shouldn't work. But here, where the Chachamim want you to be able to draw water on Shabbos, they said the suspended wall within the rim of the cistern, that's at least inside of the cistern, even though it's not into the water, that will work, because we will say, we look at it as if the wall is going down into the water and dividing it. So that's the first opinion. You have to add a wall. The wall can either be mostly above the water, mostly below the water, or as long as it's within the rim. That will work to say the water is divided and each side can take water for themselves. Shimon ben Gamliel says that it's not as simple as you just made it. Beis Shammai say the wall has to primarily be below, meaning the picture where the wall is below the water and a little bit is above. And Beis Hillel say that the wall has to primarily be above in order for it to work. And this and the idea of just having a wall within the rim that's not in the water, that's not inside the water at all, that doesn't work. So according to Shimon ben Gamliel, your choices are only if it's above the water or below the water, and even that's machlekes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. What each one holds, you primarily need. According to Beis Shammai, you want to have the wall in the water itself, primarily dividing the water. According to Beis Hillel, as long as there's a little bit in the water and there's some kind of wall that is above, and you have most of the wall above, a little bit in the water, that is going to work. Okay, 1 second, please. Okay. The way they say it here is interestingly. They say Beis Hillel permit even a partition that is mostly above water, which looks like a separation. Sounds to me like, according to Beis Hillel, if it was in the water, it would work too. Mm-hmm. Even if it's above the water, right? As long as it is in the water, according to Beis Hillel, it's going to work. Now we have the final opinion. This is the most lenient of all the opinions mentioned in the Mishnah. Amar Rabbi Yehuda said, the wall that you want to put inside the cistern should not be any greater than the wall that is between them. Meaning, as we said, the case here is there's a wall going over the cistern that's divided the courtyards. And everybody says, no, that doesn't work for the water itself. Rabbi Yehuda says that wall that you add inside the water or inside the cistern shouldn't be any better than the wall that goes above. That's his way of saying the wall above, the same way it divides the courtyards, divides the water. So they explain that this machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda and the opinions before who say you cannot rely on the wall that divides the courtyards is they're arguing over a concept, what I mentioned before, mechitza tluya, a suspended wall. Okay, it's meaning it's suspended, it's not going down and dividing what it needs to divide, right? You can go right under it, right? So according to Rabbi Yehuda, you got that wall above that's splitting up the courtyards, and that's and that's considered and it's 10 tefachim high. It's a halachic wall suspended above the area that you wanted to divide. It divides. It works. According to the other opinions mentioned before, they say no. That dividing wall above that was made to divide the courtyard, that's a mechitza tluya. That's a suspended wall when it comes to the water. It doesn't work for the water. It doesn't work for what's below it. The only time they made a leniency, according to one opinion, is when the wall is inside the cistern and it's suspended, right? That was the case of where it's at least within the rim. There they made a leniency because at least it has the appearance of being in there to go ahead. It looks like it's in there to divide. And then they apply their leniency. But otherwise, a mechitza tluya, a suspended wall, would not work to divide an area. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Well, we